Stacy Foster, please come forward and lead us in prayer.
I think everybody here knows me, but I am Stacy Foster, pastor out of Mount Olive. Both of my kids went to Union County, now my grandchildren are going. If you will, let's bow our heads. Our Father, as we come to you and we get ready to start this board meeting, Father, we just ask that you do it for your glory, your honor. Lord, bless the children that are in the school system. Bless the teachers who lead them and teach them and make them the bright adults that we have in our county today. Lord, bless them, Lord, as they go forth and do your business. Do it in a way that is pleasing to you. What is your name we do pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Foster. Next item is I'd like to call the meeting to order. And first item is Pledge of Allegiance. Miss Lily Owen, would you please come forward?
She's in the hall, probably.
Okay. Here she goes. Ready?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Lily.
Thank you.
Next item is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Mr. Hagan made the motion, Mr. Clinton seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Next item is recognition, Kenergy, Frankfurt, and Washington Uter winner. Ms. McGraw.
So, Tate, won the Kenergy had a contest for the Washington Youth Tour. And this program educates students about the future challenges facing the electric co-ops. Tate was selected and will have an opportunity to visit DC and see the museums, monuments, and Capitol Hill. To earn this, he had to complete an application and also write an essay. And his essay was outdoors. And this secured him the spot. As a delegate last week, he attended Frankfurt for 2 days, and his all-expense trip to DC will be in June, where he'll work along with the other delegates. Something to note is Tate is the first student that we know to have won this from Union County in over 12 years.
That's
So,
awesome.
congratulations to Tate.
How was ball practice tonight?
It looks good.
I want you to stop and watch that when I pull it up.
Sure.
They were spinning, just so you
Tate,
know.
Next recognition is KDA grant for Farm to School project and USDA grants for equipment assistant. Mr. Bosa.
The KDA grant, this particular grant that we applied for was specifically for FFA and food service, a combination type grant. So I contacted Ms. Kelsey Stevens, see if she might be interested in writing the grant with us. And we met down at the greenhouse, and I had no idea there was already an aquaponics and hydroponics system in the greenhouse, but they weren't very big. And she was explaining to me how they weren't really big enough to produce enough lettuce for our cafeteria use. So we decided it might be worthwhile to write a grant like this. And we submitted it. It's a few details here. There were only 6 awards in the state of Kentucky for $300,000. So this grant award is for $50,000. It is approximately, I think, 23,000 for FFA and 27 for food service. I think they just realized that freezer space and refrigerator space is very expensive. That's what our amount of money can go to. But I'm gonna ask Ms. Kelsey to come up and, I think maybe go to Susan as well. All right. To explain a little bit more about, how the grant will work for you.
So my name is Kelsey Stevens, and I brought along Elizabeth Hine, who I've had the pleasure of having in class for multiple years. And she's going to go ahead and kind of explain what we're doing in the greenhouse now and kind of our plans for the future with this grant money and what we're doing.
So as Ms. Stevens said, my name is Elizabeth, and I'm a senior at Newton High School. I've taken 3 of Ms. Stevens' classes, which include Intro to Greenhouse, Landscape and Turf, and Ag Sales and Marketing. Through taking these classes, I became inspired to do more with plants than just take these classes at the school's greenhouse. I'm currently working at Wellington's Greenhouse in Sturgis, Kentucky, and I have been working there for 2 years now. Between working at our school's greenhouse and going to work after school and working in a community greenhouse, I have learned so much about plants and how they impact the environment. Today, I would like to discuss the process of growing our lettuce and selling it back to the school. You may be wondering, how are we growing lettuce in the greenhouse? Well, let me explain to you the process of how lettuce is grown right in our own school greenhouse. We grow our lettuce through 2 different systems in the greenhouse, the first being a hydroponic pallet. Hydroponics is a method of growing plants without using soil. Now I know what you're thinking. How do you grow plants without using soil for them to flourish? It needs 2 things, which include essential nutrients and water. Within a hydroponic growing system, a nutrient-charged aquatic solution is flushed through the root zone to provide plants with the resources needed for optimal growth. So there's no need to use soil with this system. The hydroponic system is just one way we currently grow our lettuce. Another way we grow our lettuce for our greenhouse is through an aquaponic system. An aquaponic system is another innovative system of growing plants without using soil to support their root system, but the system is slightly different from a hydroponic system. If you do not know what aquaculture is, it is a process of raising fish. Just as in hydroponic, plant and aquaponic systems are grown in a soilless environment. Instead of adding fertilizers to the water to provide nutrients like the hydroponic system, fish are grown simultaneously in the aquatic environment to create a symbiotic relationship that results in an incredibly efficient system. In aquaponics, the fish provide a natural source of organic nutrients through their excreted waste. Beneficial microbes convert that waste into usable nutrient sources for plants. In turn, plants naturally filter water, providing a clean living environment for the fish. I can promise you this does not make the lettuce taste like fish in any way. The aquaponic system just uses fish to help us grow our tasty lettuce. It is also fun to watch the fish in their environment while they help our lettuce grow. The aquaponic system is another way we currently grow our lettuce. We plan to take this year's harvest of lettuce and sell it back to the school and not only raise money for our school's FFA club, but also so we can provide our school with fresh lettuce to be used in the cafeteria. We are excited to see the full process from seed to plate. We sow the seeds in soil, and after germination, we will wash them and transplant them into the aquaponic system. We will also learn about the process to make the lettuce safe to eat and store. We can take pride in our work and show our peers the hard work and opportunities available from the greenhouse. Students who are not in greenhouse or taking ag classes can also learn about agriculture through this farm to fork grant. We are excited to have this opportunity to give back to our school.
Okay, I just wanted to follow that up by saying that, one of the really important parts of this grant is that the school will actually become a member of the Kentucky Proud program, and we will begin purchasing from them just like we would any local farm. So we'll come and inspect what they're doing. We've also got the health department on our team, and some of them So, we're just, the grant lasts a little over a year, and, we're looking forward to, at the end of the grant, being in a situation where we're gonna be able to continue the program without the grant funding.
Great,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Elizabeth.
Next, I want to talk just a little bit about the USDA Equipment Assistance Grant that we applied for this year. We have been given notice through the co-op that we received 4 grant awards. There was a total of $672,000 roughly disseminated throughout Kentucky. That went to 30 different schools and 10 different districts. We were able to pick up 4 awards at the maximum amount, $25,000. One for MES, one for SES, one for UES, and one for the middle school. So we were able to accumulate almost 15% of that total award, which is great for us and something that it's something that we apply for every year, and we've been fortunately very successful to receive a lot of those awards. But we also have a lot of very old equipment, so it's very needed, and we immediately put that right back into our kitchens. One more award that was not on here, I just wanted to briefly talk about. Last year, you probably saw a lot, thanks to Mr. Jackson, about our food purchases through the LFS grant, another farm school grant. Not every school in the state of Kentucky utilized all of their LSF funds, so they have extended that program into next year. They're not gonna, the USDA is not going to put any more funding into it. Last year, they put $3.2 million into that. Now, I'm not sure what part of that $3.2 million went to Kentucky, but 93 districts initially were given funding, and only 34 districts utilized all the funding and asked for more. You all know that I'm always asking. So they took the money that was left from the schools that didn't use it, and they redistributed that and give schools that were utilizing the money and then they didn't utilize that funding. So we were able to pick up an additional $27,000.
Oh, great.
Good job.
Thank
always.
you.
Thank you, Mr.
Bosso.
Bosso.
Next is superintendent report, Ms. Shepherd.
Okay, so I think we'll just continue to go straight along with CTE after Elizabeth. I would like to invite our FFA president, Ms. Libby Clifton, to the podium. And she's going to share a little bit more about the importance of our CTE classes for you for tonight.
So February is CTE month. I just wanted to thank our board members for always supporting CTE programs in our high school. This is a speech that I prepared for FFA Regional Day, prepared public speaking, and I'm invited to share it, so I'm honored to. There's a pretty good chance that anyone wearing this super cool corduroy jacket can recite the FFA motto: learning to do, doing to learn, earning to live, living to serve. We learned it in our first week of our Principles of Ag classes. It's stamped on FFA awards and certificates of achievement, and I'm pretty sure it's mandatory for every FFA member to own at least one t-shirt with these words screen printed on the back. Even though this motto is only taught in ag classes, it can very easily be applied to every area of career and technical education. Isn't that why we take those classes? To learn, so we can do, so we can earn and therefore serve our families and communities. Good evening. My name is Libby Clifton, and I am proudly representing the Union County FFA chapter. I'm here tonight to talk to you about the importance of career and technical education in high school. Admittedly, I do learn in all of my high school classes, some more than others, but it's the practical aspect of the CTE classes that drive my passion to learn. These classes answer the age-old question, when am I ever going to use this in the real world? This is especially important to the student who can't simply absorb knowledge from a 45-minute note-taking session on Google Slides. We've all heard how important sports are in high school, because for some kids, that's their only motivation to be there. Trust me, our ag shop is just as important as any gym floor for that very reason. CTE classes are the only reason some kids are motivated to show up every day. But it's not enough for students to enjoy their time in their CTE classes. There needs to be some validation for their time and efforts. And with that comes accountability. Students should leave a quality CTE program feeling prepared to face the next phase of their life, whether that be pursuing higher education or joining the workforce. College isn't for everyone, and unfortunately some kids don't realize that because they've never been exposed to or informed of any other options. The truth is, most students who enter the workforce or trade school rather than university enter the next chapter of their life with far more opportunity and far less student loan debt. I recently watched a video released by Morrison Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electrical. They focused on two senior classmates, Jimmy and Matt. Jimmy goes through technical school and Matt takes off to a 4-year college. In his first semester, Matt has a $10,000 tuition bill. Jimmy, on the other hand, ends up paying less than $5,000 for his entire education. 6 months after high school graduation, Jimmy has a job making $40,000, while Matt is starting his second semester of college and is now $20,000 in debt. 2 years later, Jimmy is making $60,000 and Matt is $40,000 in debt. 3 years later, Matt is $60,000 in the hole and Jimmy is making $70,000 a year. Finally, Matt graduates in 4 years and is $80,000 in debt and looking for a job. Meanwhile, Jimmy has been working steadily for 3 years, gets a management position paying $80,000 a year, and has earned nearly $300,000 since high school graduation. This example should not just be introduced to students, it should be celebrated. Currently, one of the biggest issues in the agriculture industry is a lack of reliable labor. I believe that if more trade schools and CTE classes were available and encouraged to students, this shortage would be much less prominent. My CTE program has definitely shaped my future. Growing up, it was always my plan to enter the animal science industry because I grew up showing horses and caring for livestock. But through connection to the Ag CTE pathway, I had the opportunity to learn more about crop science and to job shadow a local Ag sales rep. I am now 100% committed to Murray State University to study Ag business with an emphasis in agronomy. This is just one small example of how career and tech programs build passions and change the lives of students. I can't imagine my time at Union County High School without Ag classes and FFA. I remember in middle school being absolutely terrified to give presentations or speak in front of any kind of crowd. Believe me, 11-year-old Libby Clifton would probably pass out at the idea of standing in front of you today. I've always had friends in school, but the UCHS Ag department is my second family. It's there that I've developed the confidence to speak up, hear myself talk, but to say something meaningful and lead a diverse group of people. That only happens when you make a plan, consider what's best for all parties involved, and ask the hard questions. What's the goal? How do we achieve it? How do we know that we've achieved it? That's the knowledge that you can't learn from a Google slide or a textbook that I've learned from my CTE program. That, coupled with the passion to be a lifelong learner of all things agriculture, is how I know I will always be learning to do, doing to learn, earning to live, and living to serve. Thank you.
Way to go.
Very good.
That's where I learned to speak too.
Oh, brother. Thank you, Miss Libby. We appreciate you and what all you do for FFA, and she's always representing FFA and our school well. But FFA, I know, serving as president, it's a big job, and you do it well. So thankful you're here tonight to share a little bit more. So we've had Elizabeth and Libby, and now I'm going to turn it over to Miss Abby Rhodes for a little bit. She's going to give us an update from UCHS, right?
Yes.
So
I don't think mine's gonna be as extravagant as Libby's now, or Elizabeth's, but
Libby's was rock solid.
it was pretty good. But today I'm gonna be reporting on our clubs at UCHS because I think that they're such a huge part of UCHS. I know that my freshman year it was COVID and we didn't really have any clubs, but now that we've kind of started to come back and I can join clubs, I definitely know that it's just a lot more fun. It's a way to get involved, and I think it's a huge part of your high school. So I decided that would be the first thing I report on today. So I had each of the club leaders kind of summarize some of the successes that they've had or what they have going on. So I'm just going to kind of go over those. So I'm going to start off with leadership, and today Tegan Howard has been named regional team leader of the KYSCA, Kentucky Student Council Association. Tegan will have several opportunities next year in her new role, one of which will be to host a leadership day for other schools who are members of KYSCA in our region here at UCHS. On March 7th and 8th, 3 members of leadership, Tegan Howard, Alec Wolf, and Layla Simpson, will attend the KYSCA Spring Conference in Moorhead. During this time, they will display the initiatives and leadership class has accomplished this year and learn some things and new ideas to bring back to the class. On March 18th, 2 members of our class, Lauren Laval and Ashlyn Hargrove, will attend the Leadership Conference in Bowling Green to lead a session speaking with educators about the amazing initiatives they have brought to the students here at UCHS to allow student voice and enhance student engagement. Today we actually hosted, I'm in leadership by the way, we hosted a duck hunt, which was like super fun. We had these little tiny ducks that we hid all over the school, and students went crazy. And like I think it was like whoever brought in the most ducks would get like a certain prize. It was so fun. So we kind of put that together. We also have some more things going on. So we're talking about hosting a school-wide rock, paper, scissors game. Not really sure how that one's going to work yet. We're going to figure it out. We're going to play Capture the Flag. That was a really good one. And then we're also going to host a talent show. So be on the lookout for that. Interact. Interact is the newest service club to UCHS. I'm also in Interact. It's an amazing club. In the past 2 years, Interact has hosted a 5K, raising $2,000 for UC We Can. They have donated over 4,000 toys to local children in need, 100 care packages to students within the high school to take home on holiday break, and 50 homeless care packages to local shelters. Right now, the hygiene drive for these homeless care packages is actually going on. Our goal is to fill 175, and we have currently filled 124. So these take maybe $10, $15 to fill. So if you would like to fill one of these, I think they're due maybe by the end of this week. So or if you'd like to make a donation, that would be really great too. But those are some of the things Interact has. FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes. We usually pick up the trash in the stands after home games in football, basketball. We also were able to provide every wrestler with a goodie bag for their state tournament, as well as the basketball teams who are going on to their first round of districts tomorrow. For FBLA is attending the Regional Leadership Conference on Wednesday, where they will compete in a variety of business-related competitions. Students who place will qualify for the state leadership conference that will be held in just a few weeks. Last but not least, I have FFA, which just completed celebrating its 60th FFA week. They have accomplished so many things this school year. Here are some highlights. Ella Goff served as a camp council representative at FFA camp. Will Clements received the top leadership award at FFA camp. Less than 3% of all FFA members get this award. 3 state corn winners, plus over 80 exhibit entries from Union County FFA at the Kentucky State Fair. 155 Union County FFA members for the 2023-2024 school year. So far this year, FFA has competed in 20 FFA competitions, traveling over 5,000 miles and attended events at the regional, state, and national levels. They raised 2,000 canned goods, which went straight back to Union County citizens, as well as participated in numerous other community service events. They also just reached a new record of 26 tractors at the FFA Bring Your Tractor to School Day. So, those are some of the things going on at Union County High School. They're all great. These clubs definitely keep the school spirit going.
Any questions you might have for Ms. Abby?
Any questions?
Okay, thank you for sharing, Ms. Abby. I appreciate it. Okay, as a follow-up from the weekend too, we had Mouse in the House, and the Early Childhood Council and Preschool Partnership Grant hosted that. We had approximately 130 students there, or children I should say, from ages 2 to 6 years old this weekend. So it was good hit there, and everybody loved the previews that they were able to take home and interact with their children with. So we were very excited that we had that many come out on Saturday. The next thing I want to share with board members, just as an FYI, I shared with you the project production schedule on Thursday. Shared a little too early, obviously, because we've already had a change in the date. So please mark your calendar. We had originally said on March the 7th would be the design development approval date, and we're going to move that to March 19th, because once we met with the engineers, they needed more time for additional structural things after the architects gave them the designs. We met on Friday, right, Amy? So we met with them on Friday, and so now the 19th, the reason I scheduled the 19th, that's one of our next meetings that we have with the superintendent search committee meetings. You know, we have all those scheduled, so that'll coincide with that too. And that gives them a couple more weeks too. Because one of the things I stress them is when we start on this project, in order to keep the cost down, we want as few change orders as possible. And if they go ahead with where they are right now in the process, there may be changes later, and we don't want that. We really are striving for quality in this work, and as far as efficiency, and as few change orders as possible. So the new date would be March 19th, which actually works out better because that's the working session. And so we'll have more time to really have more conversation, other questions you might have for the engineers will be here, and the architect, and then our construction manager too. So if you have questions, I know y'all had mentioned some questions you had at the last working session, so that actually would probably work out better. So just note that if you would, as far as a date change for the design.
Tuesday.
Yes, because remember we changed Tuesday that month. Mr. Clifton had a meeting, and then remember we switched. So remember theirs was on a Tuesday, and it goes along with our other meetings, so that'll work out great. So if you'll mark that down on your calendar, that would be awesome. And then the next thing I have, if you look in your drive on your board agenda, I've uploaded the Council for Better Education, the getting SEEK funding back on track for Union County Schools, so it should be uploaded in your portal. And then I also have paper copies here, so let me pass this way. You can take one and pass it around there.
It's on the portal.
You can take one and pass it around there. It should be attached to your portal, but just wanted to, since we're in the middle of legislative session right now, and wanted to talk with you a little bit, and we've talked a little bit about taxes, we've talked about budget, so if you will follow along with this, it's fairly easy to follow along, but it's basically additional fundings needed to restore our SEEK funding back to where our buying power was in 2008. And adjusted for the annual inflation per the Consumer Price Index is what this is based on. So the first thing is full buying power. We need to get the SEEK back on track, which means bringing the SEEK guaranteed per pupil base back to fully buying power that we had in 2008 school year. After the inflation has been shrinking the value of the basic school dollar to match the 2008 SEEK guarantee of $3,822 per student, it will take $5,400 in today's dollars to match that, in addition to including inflation. The SEEK guarantee amount is also used to calculate the add-ons for students, the student needs, and the district eligibility for Tier 1 additional funding. So the first thing we want to look at, if you see that green arrow going across there, it talks about more base funding per student would be $1,300. So in 2008, it was funded at $3,822. In 2023, it was funded at $4,100, which is a difference of $278 per student over a 15-year period. And to match that inflationary erosion, the SEEK base should be $5,400 in today's dollars. This represents an additional $1,300 necessary in SEEK base. So we talk about SEEK base. The reason I wanted to bring this up today is the legislators are talking about adding additional funding for public ed, but we've asked them to make sure to put that with SEEK base, because when it goes into base, that goes into our general fund, and that will help with us for teacher salary raises and things like that too. And if it's in the base, then that doesn't go away. And we want to make sure that it's base versus if they say, hey, we want to give teachers, say, a 4% raise. If they give a 1 year 4% raise, but they don't put it in the SEEK base, we have to consider maintaining that from years on.
Stipends that they're proposing right now instead of a raise at all.
Right, and if
They're
they
just proposing stipend.
do just a stipend, then that's a one-time thing. It's not in their salary schedule. But if it's in that base SEEK, then we know it's there from this point forward. So I wanted to share some of that with you. So the more that we would need in base funding would be the $1,300. And then the more funding to meet added student needs would be $343 per student. And then secondly, if you look at addressing the cost of transportation, getting SEEK back on track means addressing the full cost of school transportation. Transportation has always been part of the SEEK formula, using the state's own calculation of what transportation should cost, but for years and years now, the state funding has provided only a fraction of that amount. In the 22-23 school year, the state funding addressed 69%. So we appreciate legislators, in the last biennium actually increasing the SEEK transportation funding to 69%, but still we're not funded at the remaining 31% that the law requires. So the state's supposed to fully fund transportation, but for years they've not funded that. And so we've said, if the state would fully fund transportation, and this is something easy to remember when you talk to legislators, if they would fully fund transportation, and if they would codify kindergarten, which means they have that in law, they're gonna pay for kindergarten teacher and aide, every year we could give at least a 2% raise. So we wouldn't be having to go back every year asking for, or the years of the budget years to say, we need additional dollars to put in our SEEK and general fund to give these raises. Because those two alone would allow us to give raises each year.
Have they put anything out other than what they're proposing, House Bill 6?
The House bill's out there, and the Senate was favorable, and we talked to the governor this week, and some of the other legislators there, they're making some tweaks to the House bill, so we'll see, but again, until the end of the session, we really don't know for sure, because they can add things on a bill, and then they can change the language, and sometimes one word changes, require shall versus may, so we're hopeful, but we know there are dollars there that they're working toward, but the more transportation funding would be huge for us. So then the increase in state tier 1 funding, we need another $106 per pupil, and then the total added funding per student is $1,987. And so when you look at just Union County, if you look at the top of this, it just says Union County. Council for Better Education looked at this for each county in the entire state, and for Union County, that would be an additional $4,022,000 for us if they funded it to what we were asking. So the second page, it's a little more involved, but I wanted you to have this. I'm not going to go through all these numbers, but when you go through and look at the SEEK base, there's a base guarantee. Currently, there's the $8,299,000 to be back on track. We would need the $10,930,000. So if you look at the red column, this would be the additional funding that would be required to meet all our needs for our students as far as base SEEK and to get back on track to where we were funded in 2008. And then the next section talks about the add-ons for our students with special needs. And then the next one is SEEK transportation. And then the tier 1 added equalization is the last section there. But I wanted to provide all this to you just, when you talk to legislators, you would have the numbers that align to Union County, because a lot of times people talk in general that we need this or we need that, but I wanted you to see basically the additional base that we would need is $1,300 to get back on track for 2008. And I know, like I said before, we appreciate all they've done in the past, but these dollars would flow into the general fund if it was in SEEK, where approximately 85% of our district expenditures are salary and benefits, or related to employee benefits and salaries. That all comes through general fund. And to adequately fund the necessary raise that we need for our teachers, and to be competitive in the marketplace with Kentucky teachers, they deserve that as far as adequate wage. So I would just say, when you talk to them, talk about it's time to restore that, but when they restore it, it needs to really be with SEEK. That would be the guarantee to continue the consistency and maintain, because any other way they do it, it's not going to be a real guaranteed raise for the future. It's a one-time
Right now,
Band-Aid on
in the
something.
House bill, I don't think it's guaranteed.
No.
It's not, it's only for 2 years. They are proposing to fund transportation 80% the first year and 100% the second year.
Yes, which is
But
good.
it's only for 2 years.
Right, and that's the thing, once it's in there, we wanna make sure that's forever.
And instead of giving teachers a raise, they're planning on giving them a $2,000 stipend each year, which isn't, in my opinion.
And then we have to look at, whatever the state chooses to do for our certified staff, we look at what are we doing for classified. Because that's also, those are employees that are essential employees to have to the operation of the school system. So there's a lot of things that we'll have to consider, but I wanted to take time tonight just to share this with you, and you have it uploaded, and you have a hard copy of that. Do you have any questions on that? That's quite a bit of information, but you can look through it. If you have other questions, feel free to call me and we can go through it. But I met with Representative Gooch, and Lieutenant Governor, the Governor, and Rocky, several of them last week, and it was good productive meetings, but again, you just never know until the end of the session what's gonna happen, and I think everyone's intent's good, and we appreciate everything legislators have done in the past. But the bottom line is, you know, we've got to get back to at least where we were in 2008 and maintain that. So I think the codifying kindergarten is an important piece because they funded it this year, but every year it's kind of like that carrot that dangles with legislators. They can always pull it. So Amy and I are nervous when we're doing budget until we hear for sure if it's provided or not, because not only is there a teacher, but there's also an aide that is assigned and required for every kindergarten classroom. So when you look at that, the benefits for our classified staff are really expensive. What's the percentage now, Amy? 20, what are they back up to on the benefits for classified?
Right now it's 21.74. Next year it is projected to go down to 19.71. That's just for county retirement.
It goes back and forth.
So you still have Social Security, Medicare, unemployment, work comp on top of that.
We've had it up to 24 before, so it's just, that fluctuates too. So it's hard when, and these elementary principals can tell you, it's importance of getting confirmed registration, because if you go over the cap, then it's time for a new teacher, but you're also looking at funding another aide too. So it's a double whammy that's not paid for. So they only paid up to this last year before it was a half kindergarten they paid. So if they fully fund kindergarten, fully fund transportation, that would help us tremendously. But you do want it through that seat funding, because that's where you're.
You guys haven't contacted your legislators yet, I really encourage you to. I have, and that's the best all of us can do. They hear a lot of people, see a lot of people doing it, that's when they pay attention.
Well, I think it
Students
helps.
too.
It helps
All
when
the
they.
seniors need to.
I agree. It helps when they see
You guys too.
your district as far as your specific numbers
I know.
versus just in
That
general.
makes a
We need a
difference.
10%. I'm nobody's saying that definitely 10%. I'm saying here's the amount we need for seat, you know, to maintain it. Okay, yeah. You make sure of everything else in here. Okay, I think that's all I have to answer.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Shepherd.
Thanks.
Next item is attendance report. Dr. Hancock.
Reading all these numbers and for all those girls come up there. I sent this time also to you, to show you a copy of this. That shows a little bit more of the overview. You can see trends by school. Historically, month 4 is usually our lowest month attendance wise. Usually right before Christmas, lots of sickness. Well, we're right there with it for this last month, month 6, especially with our older kids, middle school, high school, UCLA. Lots of sickness. We had flu, we had strep, we had everything. But hopefully we're on the uptrend now. Do you have any questions?
I know some of the schools have been actually shut down, so we did better than they did.
Thankfully, so far.
Yeah.
This weather being 70-something today.
Thank you, Dr. Hancock.
Thank you.
I have a question before we get, while we're into this discussion part, before the kids and so forth. And this may be a question more for Mr. Jackson. Good to see you back tonight. Hope everything's okay. Can we get an update on the screening committee, and not necessarily names or anything like that, but just the progress of our screening committee formation?
We're getting really close. We have, the 2 teacher representatives have been elected. The principal representative has been elected. The parent representative was just elected this afternoon. PTO presidents met and elected that person. The classified representative, that election has been going on and was completed today, so we'll be counting those votes tomorrow morning. And then, of course, the board will appoint, Butman will appoint the board representative tonight. So by middle of the day tomorrow, we will have all of the committee in place. And we should be, on track for that first meeting on March 7th.
Good deal, thanks.
Thank you. The principal, did you mention the principal?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Good deal. Thank you. I know it's been a lot of work on your part to organize that. Appreciate it.
Glad to know that.
It's been a great job.
Okay, next item is recognitions, SBDM reports, UCMS student presentation. Ms. King.
Good
Good evening. We have some students with us tonight that are from our student leadership team at the middle school, led by their teacher leader, Miss Fowler. And they just have some things they would like to share with you about what we have going on at the middle school. How are you all doing this evening? I did want to introduce these guys. This is only part of my team, and they are doing great jobs over at the middle school, and they are awesome leaders. Also, I did want to say that I told them what I wanted from them, and they created everything they are about to say. I had no part in it. All I did was look at it before coming over here, just to make sure everything was as it should be. I will introduce my sixth graders. We have Riley Nobles and Jared Jonathan. Okay, I'm getting a little twisted myself. And then Lily Owen, Caroline Devine are my seventh graders, and my eighth graders are Garrison Thomas and Bentley Duckworth. And then I'm going to turn it over to them.
Hi, I'm Riley Nobles, and I'm here with you today to talk about our STAR scores. You may not know, but we take a test every 9 weeks to see our current grade level in education, such as reading and math. Our scores are a little bit low at the time. The following is our STAR scores as of right now. Reading is at 33%, math 20%, science 14%, social studies 23%, and writing 28%. We take it again next week. We look forward to seeing the new data. We are going to improve our STAR scores by encouraging students to work harder and participate more. Hi, I'm Jara. I would like to discuss where we want our STAR scores to be at by the end of the year. We want to improve our STAR scores because we want to have higher expectations and we want our students to succeed later in life. Our predicted scores are reading 68.3, math 51.4, science 36.3, social studies 69.4, writing 32.7. If we get these scores, us and future students will want to succeed to make their life in school community, to make their school community better. Thank you. Now to our 7th grade leaders who are redoing our team expectation poster.
Hi, I'm Lily and this is Caroline. We're here today with the middle school leadership team. Speaking of team, we're here to talk about our team expectations and the signs that come on. We've been looking at some other schools and noticed that their posters are a lot more flamboyant, bigger, better, and a lot more students follow those rules, and which is very important. So we wanted to let you know what we've been thinking about in our school and how we wanted to change them. Speaking of changing them, I'm going to take it to Caroline, and she's going to tell you what we're putting on those signs.
What are we putting on the signs today? Well, we're going to make them bigger. We'll be adding pictures to make them more appealing with a bigger font so you can see them better. But the most important part is our team expectations. T means total respect. E means that bring ownership. A means act with integrity. A means model perseverance.
Thank you for your time. Now to our 8th graders telling you how the school years have changed over the couple of years. Hi, my name is Garrison Thomas, and I'm going to be talking about our school environment over the past year. To start, our school environment has changed in a very positive way in this past year. There are many different things that are positive, such as our students or our teachers being more visibly happy, as well as us students being more free on to decide what we want to do. Last year's environment was still pretty good in my opinion, but this year's it has just gone over the top. Some things that were good last year but have gotten better is the students' overall behavior and happiness inside the school. One more thing inside our school that was still pretty good last year is the involvement and participation inside the school.
Hello, my name is Bentley Duckworth. I will be talking about how the school's culture has gotten better. I would like to start off by saying the school's morale and culture have both gotten way better in the past year. For example, the teachers have been a lot happier and more interactive with the students, and the students have been better behaved and more interactive in class. Students also like coming to school more since they have more social interactions with different friends in their class. The school has gotten a lot more enjoyable with team tailgate occurring more often and the new weightlifting program started. Overall, the school morale has gotten a lot better in the past year, and hopefully it will continue to get better for years to come.
Thank you.
Great job. Awesome job.
You're in good hands for the future, right?
No, I was like, I'm about to
Can't
sign
get out
up
without a
for
picture.
all my stuff.
I see some basketball players there too.
Some future speakers there, I think.
Yeah.
Abby just said she wants to sign them up for something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get them signed up now.
I think they've been doing some recruiting over there.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Y'all did great, thank you.
Yeah, awesome.
Great speaking. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome job.
Thanks, Miss Fowler.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Really?
Great big speaker in the house.
I met her in children's
She
church.
did
Oh,
awesome.
did you?
She's really good.
Oh,
She
yeah.
helps me out a lot.
That's good. That's great. Since she has her children's church.
Yeah, she helps me wrap up the kids. Get them all together.
She was like, I felt like I was at like public speaking.
What's that speaker of the house?
Very good.
Yeah.
She's good.
Okay, the next item is minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Ms. Martin made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Gatton made the second. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. Next item is approval of financial report. Ms. Morris.
Okay, we'll begin the monthly financial report for the month of January with a review of our cash. Total cash reported by our balance sheet totaled $29,800,000. We're almost in the same cash position as reported by our balance sheet as compared to the end of December. Across all funds, cash reported by our balance sheet, we experienced just a slight decrease in cash of $20,000. And I just want to point out, total cash, $29.8 million does seem like an excessive balance, but if you look at the balance of cash by fund, we have 46% or $14 million of that cash balance tied up in either restricted funds or proprietary funds. So that's not for cash reported just by our general fund or operating cash. It's restricted for only defined purposes. And of course, we have money setting aside for our construction project that's about $9 million. So if you remove that cash, our general fund or cash report of our balance sheet has a balance about $16 million. And I'll get to tax collections in just a moment. We've almost come into an end of tax collections for this year. So that balance in general fund not only pays remaining of operating expenses for this month, payout of contracts of staff in June, which are 3 additional pays, but also will last us until property tax collections begin again next month. So our main source of revenue are monthly SEEK payment, which right now is $657,000, and then this will supplement that. Right now, our average monthly expenses are running about $1.6 to $1.7 million. So SEEK is a small part to keep that cash fund going. So I just want to, when you hear that $29 million, it seems like a large balance, but that's not general fund. It's up right now. We're about 1.7. 1.7. And I've removed the one-time heavy hitters, kind of like the roof, the insurance costs. So I just want to kind of put that in terms. So again, cash reported balance sheet is just at $29.8 million. Cash reported by the bank, 29.5. The difference being outstanding items, outstanding checks, just over $207,000 in that reconciling item category. So we look at a review of activity by fund, beginning with general fund. So month-to-date revenue was just at $1.4 million. That included our monthly SEEK payment of $657,000. We collected utility taxes based on the month of December in the amount of $111,000. We collected $442,000 of property tax collections, $29,000 of franchise taxes, $55,000 of motor vehicle and a minor delinquent tax collections, $19,000 in Medicaid, and $78,000 in interest income. And so I just want to pause a moment. I kind of gave you, I put together just a little worksheet. Last month, I kind of just shared to you some concerns over property tax collections. So I just kind of, again, would like to kind of keep us on track of just keeping this before us. So what I put together, on the left-hand side of what I've given you are all of the different categories that our local tax collections are recorded in. This corresponds with the codes that you see on your monthly report, the Munis code. The second column, and I went ahead, although the finance report is just through the month of January, we're almost through the month of February, so I know what our collections are. We actually received our tax collection from the sheriff's office today. So I've updated this worksheet kind of through February, where we stand today on collections. So I've compared it to budget, and then the last column is the variance. So you'll see I'll just kind of focus on the variance column. So what I've done is I've compared where we set our tax rate, where we thought our anticipated revenue would come from, compared that to collections as of through today, and then I've in the variance column calculated that difference, and I've made some notes. So the items indicated in yellow total $577,000. So that's the potential shortfall let me back up. That's what we still have remaining to collect and a potential shortfall. So, and then in green, it's just those are tax categories where the collections don't occur until April through June, or May and June. So if you look at our unmined minerals, I spoke with Kathy Stevens at the sheriff's office. That's the fourth item down. That's the variance shaded in green of $498,000. So we should see those collections begin to come in beginning of April. To get the discount on unmined mineral, taxpayers will begin to pay the discount date April 1st. May will be at face value, and then they become delinquent. So I noticed I put that amount in green. That's still what we anticipate on collecting. The line just below that, commercial watercraft landfill, typically that payment comes directly from the Commonwealth of Kentucky, from the state, and historically we do not receive that payment for May or June. So that's $381,000 of timing. So if you look right above that, the amounts highlighted in yellow, it's just kind of where my concern, I'm not worried, it's just something that we need to keep a pulse on. So we still have oil taxes left to collect. They collected the majority of oil taxes in February. Sheriff collects it in February. We'll receive those payments in March. So we still have that left to collect. But the bulk of general property taxes are collected and received. So we do see them trickle in over the months of March through June, but it's not a significant amount. Oil taxes could be about $200,000. We still have at the state level, they collect money, property taxes at the state level. If I could get a $15,000 check, I could get a $30,000 check. It's just collected. It's not anything that our local sheriff knows collections. It just comes from the state. So over the next couple of months, I'll just keep updating that. And then I would say by the end of March next month, when I'm reporting in April through the month of March, we'll kind of know where our collections are going to land and the impact to budget. So I just want to kind of just no alarm, just kind of keep it in front of us where we are in collection. So does that make sense? Would you have any questions?
That makes good sense.
Okay.
I don't like it because
and I followed
considering the
up.
time of year we're in right now with collections, that's not good.
Yeah, and in my conversation with Kathy Stevens, you had mentioned when you went to pay your property tax, they said that the bill may change. I didn't have time to call the clerk's office, but I think it has to do a little bit with motor vehicle and the switchover in their systems, and maybe there were a couple of dollars in tax amounts due. So I don't think it's significant, but I haven't gotten complete clarification on that. But I don't think it's anything really to be worried about as far as not collecting tax on assessment. So a significant amount of tax. But
I just thought it may have created a little bit of delay in people actually paying.
I think it's when you go to pay your tax bill, they say don't make your check out yet because it might vary a couple of dollars from what they have in the system based on a different value they used on the bills. So, but I'll clarify that. That's just Kathy Stevens was sharing her knowledge, but I didn't. It was right at 4 o'clock when we had that conversation. Okay, so then if you look at year-to-date revenue.
One more question.
Yes, sir.
On collection of taxes, do we, just in general, do we always collect everything we're expecting year in, year out? Is there anything that we've been waiting on multiple years?
Well,
we
always
get this one 3 years later, and then it's like a snowball effect. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, typically we collect the taxes in the tax year they're given in. Of course, we're in arrears on the unmined coal, and I've reported that.
Okay.
The bills that gone out are actually for 2021 tax bills.
Okay.
So, and when you look at our budget, we have a beginning. So I budget what our unmined coal is based on current year assessments in the unmined coal line item. Prior year assessments, there's like a beginning balance on our budget. And so those collections are in the beginning balance in the revenue.
That was a statewide thing, though, wasn't it?
Yes, so
Yeah,
what
that
they
wasn't
had a
something
problem
specific.
with at the state level with their software. So they're actually 2 years behind.
Okay.
So
And
what
will that
we're,
ever catch up at some
Mhm.
point?
so,
Okay.
so in April, what they're collecting in April is 2021.
Okay.
And as soon as, they collect those bills, they'll notify, taxpayers of the 2022 bills.
Okay.
They have, I think, I don't know if it's 60 or 90 days to protest. And then the tax bill goes out and then they're due that following month. And then,
So it'll be 21 and 22.
that's right. And, you know, Kathy Stevens is doing a great job of keeping me updated. But we're at the mercy of when the state can send those. So really, we were supposed to have had the 2021 back last fall. And then it got pushed to November and then it got pushed to February. But now April, we're gonna start collecting those at a discounted amount.
Okay.
So it's unusual, but
This is not a year-end, this is something of recent history.
that's right. That's right, yeah, but all of other taxes usually are paid in the tax year that they're assessed. You know, and so the delinquent, you'll notice in our budget, delinquent property tax, those are true delinquent where people are catching up over
That
years.
is, that's a yearly issue, I'm sure.
It is, yeah, and it's really, how we budget that, it's based on trend analysis. It's not really, when I first started this, I thought, okay, we should have a list of everything but at the time, the systems aren't that sophisticated between at the state level, and it trickles down to local level. And maybe with their changing to new software where it's coming, where we have better reporting for school districts, but I haven't done that yet.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so, year-to-date revenue for the general fund is $12,412,000. There are the details there are no surprises. Year-to-date, comparing to January of last year, we have increased 6.6% over prior year revenue, and again, that's due to a combination of, local tax collections, interest income, insurance proceeds, and Medicaid cost report. All the increase of some of those items are $1.1 million, offset by a decrease in SEEK year-to-date of $342,000. And then I just have a note there that local tax collection has improved slightly over December. However, we still have just a ways to go and monitor. Expenditures year-to-date for the general fund total $10,519,000. We're at 16.6% or $1.5 million increase over last year. And I have a breakdown of the areas primarily. We spent $696,000 in flood-related expenses and $546,000 on high school roof repair. If you remove the impact of those two events, and also the timing of insurance expense, and let me explain that. We paid, our total lump sum insurance up front, but that's for a whole 12 months. So when it comes time to audit, we will actually make an audit adjustment, and everything from July to December will be considered prepaid insurance. So if you remove the impact of that, our net expenses have just increased over $144,000, which is really reasonable compared to the salary and benefits impact with the raises we did last year. Special Revenue Fund, Fund 2, month-to-date revenues, $211,000. Sturgis Elementary collected $73,000 of their grant partnership with Vibroacoustics. We received $3,000 local payment for United Way, $62,000 of our quarterly FRISC grant payments. We also received $20,000 of the Child Care Sustainability Grant. The federal piece went away, and then the state kicked in to extend it for one more month. So we received that payment. $20,000 of our semi-annual Gifted and Talented grant payment, and then we also reimbursed from KDE $32,000 for a federal MOA that's in place. So year-to-date revenue is just under $2.7 million, and you see the breakdown between federal and state grants. And then year-to-date spend on grants, 85% has gone, 85% of the $2.2 million, it goes back into instruction in our district. District Activity Fund, Fund 21, there's no significant activity to report. Fund 25 is only updated at the end of the fiscal year. Fund 310 and Fund 320 neither have any activity to report. Our construction fund, Fund 360, we dispersed $1,900 for architect fees related to the LAVEC fund. Debt Service Fund, Fund 400, there's no activity to report. We're actually issued payment on our bond that's due April 1st this week. Proprietary funds, food service, month-to-date receipts were $119,000. We collected $7,200 of interest income, We also received $96,000 for our December CNIPS, which is our meal reimbursement claim for the month of December. We collected $5,500 in non-reimbursable meal revenue and $4,400 for contract meal. Then year-to-date expenses total $896,000. We're at 37% over prior year. However, the main difference is in the property expense line item. There's $121,000 of equipment purchases that Mr. Bosall has purchased, but again, there are some grant proceeds, $50,000 that's deposited into that grant to offset some of that cost. Daycare Fund, Fund 52, we recorded state tuition payment of $13,300 for the Apples program and $3,200 in interest income. We expended $10,400 for salary and benefits. And again, as I reported, we received that $20,000 for grants, so we'll revert those salary and benefits back, paying it out of a grant fund instead of Fund 52. That will happen in in February. So that's the financial report. Do you have any questions? That was a lot of information. Thank you.
Do I have a motion to approve the financial report? Mr. Hagan made the motion, Mr. Clifton seconded. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carried.
Thanks, Amy.
Thanks, Ms. Morris.
We'll monitor it out, catch,
It'll be, next month will be even more interesting to see where we're at.
Okay, next item is approval of payment of bills. Do I have a motion to approve payment of bills?
So moved.
Mr. Gatton made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Martin made a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carried. Next item, approval of expenses for superintendent's office. Is there any questions for Ms. Morris or Ms. Shepherd? Do I have a motion to approve the expenses for the superintendent's office?
So moved.
Mr. Clifton made a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hagan made a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Public comments, there weren't any.
Jennifer, before you go on to consent, sorry, number 14 has been added.
Yes.
I don't know if you noticed that. So it's revision to district calendar 23-24. Tara, will you explain just real quick changes you made
We had
today?
some teachers bring up some really good thoughts. You know, I wish we had thought of it first, so we could have did this earlier. But with the March 15th and April 8th, on the new version, we switched the G day and the PD day. So teachers will now work on the 15th, if you approve, and they'll have a professional day on the 8th. If they already have a professional day requirement, professional hours completed, then they won't have to come into the building that day. So that will allow them to do the eclipse with their family, go to the festivals. Once we realized that that was an issue, then we really wanted to help them with that. Another change is to use the election day in May, on May 21st, as a G day. We originally had the G day on the 28th and the closing day on the 29th. Teachers asked if we could use the election day as a G day. Our policy says that the schools can be open, but students can't be there. So we could have a teacher work day or parent-teacher conferences and stuff like that, just no students. Sturgis is our only polling place. So their plan is to kind of barricade that section off, make sure there's no interference. So we would like to use the primary election for a G day as well.
I'm probably gonna talk to county elections board about that. They're okay with it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
When
You
Garrett
talked to
first
Garrett.
asked for us to use our schools, he said they just have to have that space and no one can be in that space. You can't have any students there. He actually talked to me last week. Warren Elementary used to also be a polling place, but now that they have the officers club back open, they're using that. So Sturgis Elementary is our only school that'll be used, but it's in the gym area, so it has its own entrance in the back door, and then the other is sectioned off, so no one can interfere with the election process.
Yeah, we'll make sure
Yes.
you're talking to him.
Oh, yeah.
That board, that's great. Thank you.
Garrett, yeah.
Okay, is there any more questions on the calendar? All right. Approval of consent agenda. Number 1, acknowledgement of personnel report. Number 2, travel report. Number 3, request for fundraisers. Number 4, trip requests. Number 5, leave of absences. Number 6, MOU JAG Kentucky program at UCHS. Number 7, 2024-2025 SBDM March 1st tentative allocations. Sections 4, 5, and 6, 702 KAR 3 246. Number 8, Friskies Memorandum of Agreement, fiscal year 2024-2025. Number 9, KAA Mini Grants, Union County High School. Number 10, Renewal of Paramount Dental Group Dental Plan Policy. Number 11, BG2 for BG 24-230 UCMS Fire Panel Upgrade. Number 12, BG3 for BG 24-230 UCMS Fire Panel Upgrade. Number 13, Construction Documents for BG 24-230 UCMS Fire Panel Upgrade. And number 14, Revisions to District Calendar 2023-2024. Do I have a motion to approve 1 through 14 as read?
So moved.
Mr. Gatton made a motion, do I have a second? Mr. Hagan made a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed. Motion carried. Last item is board rep, which is my decision that I'm aware of, and I have put something together that I want to read. I may not do as well as the students, but here I go. As the board chair, I am deeply honored by the trust you have placed in me through your nominations and votes, allowing me to serve in this capacity. As we embark on the crucial task of selecting the next superintendent for Union County Schools, I am immensely grateful for the commitment displayed by each member of our board who has expressed interest in serving as the board representative for the Superintendent Search Committee. This collective dedication stresses our shared commitment to ensuring the best possible leadership for our school system. Having been involved in 3 previous superintendent searches for UCPS, both as a parent representative and now as a board member, I bring to this task a wealth of experience and a deep understanding of the importance of this process. I have consistently advocated for candidates who meet the criteria established by our board, even when it meant being the opposite from the majority opinion. Moreover, as a grandparent with a personal stake in the success of our school system, the significance of this selection process is particularly important. I am committed to approaching this responsibility with the utmost seriousness and diligence. Therefore, after careful consideration, I have made a decision to appoint myself as the board representative for the Superintendent Search Committee. I am proud to be entrusted with this role, knowing that I will serve as the voice of the board throughout this pivotal process. I assure you that I will approach this task with humility, dedication, and a steadfast commitment to our shared goal of selecting a superintendent who will lead our schools with excellence and integrity. Thank you for your trust and support. I look forward to the opportunity to serve our community in this capacity and the teamwork that will take place with my colleagues on the board and with the community. Put me down, Mr. Jackson. Thank you. All right.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Mr. Gatton made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hagan made a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed. Motion carried.